We are going to go just a little bit morbid on you now. It's early in the morning, but this is science, and science sometimes is a bit morbid and smells. More than 30 people have donated their bodies to what will be Australia's first body farm based just out of Sydney. They'll be left in the wild for nature to take its course and will then be studied to see what we can learn about decomposition. Prof Dearden from Otago University joins us now. Peter, good morning to you.
Hi, Paul.
It does sound very morbid. Well, it is morbid, quite frankly. So these bodies, people donate their bodies and they are literally taken into the woods and left to decay.
Absolutely. And in doing so, we learn all kinds of really interesting things.
Like what exactly?
Well, actually, human bodies decompose in ways that are kind of different from other animals, and when we sort of learn a little bit about how human bodies decay, but also we learn a lot about what kind of things eat human bodies, and that kind of information about what insects might lay their eggs on it, or what scavengers might affect a human body, teaches a lot about what might happen to a body out in the wild after it's died.
We don't have a body farm in New Zealand, do we?
We don't, no.
No, because up until now they've mostly studied this on pig carcasses, haven't they? Which obviously people know are as similar pretty much as you can get to a human carcass. The issue that I would have is, as you said, human bodies decompose in very different ways. How useful is it that this is in Australia? And even in Australia, it's only in one area, so you've only got one set of climatic conditions.
Yeah, I think actually that one opening in Australia has very little information for New Zealand. We can learn from, there's 5 of these facilities in the United States across a range of different temperatures and climates. And we learn a lot about generally how a body decomposes from those. But if you want to know what happens in specific New Zealand conditions, then you'd have to do it here.
So from a sort of CSI perspective, this is only vaguely useful, I suppose, because of the different climatic conditions. And I suppose also clothing, I mean, depending on what you were wearing, could that make a very big difference?
Absolutely. I think there's a whole range of things, from the temperature, from the sorts of animals and fungi and bacteria that live in those kinds of environments. All of those things are going to be just slightly different in each location. And so that makes a difference.
Would you love to go there and prowl around?
Not that keen, frankly. It sounds like this is really for people in those lovely white suits with rubber gloves and.
Well, they won't stay lovely white for long, will they?
No, I don't think so.
No, they'll need to be in the handy Andy or whatever. What are the bugs that are the most efficient at consuming a human body?
Well, there's a whole range of things which you can put under the category of bugs. Certainly there's lots of insects that eat human bodies. So you think about sort of flesh flies and house flies. They'll lay maggots, and those maggots will eat human flesh. But I think some of the most interesting data that's coming out of these body farms at the moment is around bacteria. So there's lots and lots of bacteria which live on us and in the environment. And as we decompose, the sorts of bacteria which are living on the body might change, and that actually might give us very clear ideas as to when a body when the death has occurred, or in what sort of situation. So because of modern genetics, we actually be able to understand the whole community of bacteria and fungi that are affecting a body.
So Peter, some of these bodies will literally just be left on the top of the soil, in the sun, under the trees, different positions like that. Other bodies are going to be put in shallow graves. Is a body more likely to decompose more quickly in a shallow grave, or just lying on the top?
It really depends on the conditions. You could think about conditions where it was very hot and very dry. Where their bodies that were actually exposed might decompose more slowly. It's really it depends on the groundwater. It depends on the amount of rain. It depends on the humidity.
It's fascinating,
There's all kinds
isn't it?
of things. It is. In one of the body farms in America, they allow vultures to scavenge on the carcasses to see what happens to bones and tissues, which might affect your understanding of what happened at death.
Again, not enormously helpful for New Zealand.
Well, we might think about scavenging cats, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's people who own cats that need to think about that. The interesting thing is, in this body farm in Australia, they put like cages around the bodies because they don't want, I suppose, crocs or other animals to ruin their. I mean, one croc on a busy night could drag 30 corpses away. Would you donate your body for this kind of thing?
Oh, look, body donation is a really important issue, and it's something that as scientists, we really need people to donate those bodies. Frankly, well, I think that's a great idea. I'm sort of going for the Viking funeral approach. I think the boat and the fiery arrows and things, I think that would be, it's probably illegal, but that would be where I'd go.
Because given what's that movie that I was talking about that I liked, Hillary?
American Gigolo?
No, I didn't say I liked that. Where did you get that from? That movie about the holiday, the kids. with what's it called?
What? Yeah.
Anyway, the reason I'm saying this, Peter, is that that's exactly what they do to what's the name of the comedian? Billy Connolly. Thank you, Jim. So Billy Connolly in this movie, you need to go and see it. It's called The Holiday or some bloomin' thing. What we did on our holidays. These kids get together and they just burn Billy Connolly on a raft. After he's dead, of course, which is not very useful for science, but it fits in with your Viking idea. All right, Peter. I think it's very interesting for you as a scientist to be, promoting the need for cadavers to be at hand, and you want to actually be burnt in a Viking funeral yourself. So it's very much do as I say, not as I do, isn't it?
Absolutely, though we may actually learn quite a lot from burnt bodies as well. I mean, I think New Zealand might actually benefit from a sort of an underwater body farm. There are plenty of drowning deaths in New Zealand. Maybe we need to understand what happens in water as well.
God, that is interesting. That is very interesting, Peter, and I would be interested in getting behind that. Would it be the first one in the world?
As far as I know that there have been studies with pig carcasses down here at Otago trying to understand what happens to a body in water.
No, I love this. I love this. I will have a chat with John Key. We'll see if we can cordon off a little bit of the coastline, and we'll do underwater body farms. I love it.
Sounds good to me.
My mum would be in. All right. Thank you very much, Peter. Peter Dearden, Associate Professor at Otago University.